well, might as well go around him. What the? And there it is, guys. There's the crash. Give me your comments in the comment section below. What did you think? But what would you have done? What would you not have done? And do you think something that I did put myself in that situation?
Well, since you asked so nicely, I do have a few comments. Jesus, I need to clean up in here. Is that good? I don't know. Welcome to Squid Tips. I'm Alex. If you're as unfamiliar with the motovlogger world as I am, names like Walterific, Royal Jordanian, and Jake the Garden Snake probably mean absolutely nothing to you. Well, let me introduce you to at least one of them, Snowcat, aka Elliot. Now, that's not doxing, by the way. It's not doxing. He said his name in this video and several others. There's even a HuffPo Canada article about him. Elliot is a pretty OG motovlogger who started making videos over 9 years ago, and he has almost 1 million subscribers. Holy shit. Pewdie who? He's somewhat known for being a self-branded professional hater, but I would colloquially call it a driving pundit. You know, one of these dudes who makes a lot of videos complaining about other people's driving. Let me give you a feel for some of the video content that he's most popular for.
Ooh, you're in the crosswalk, you douchebag. Look at that fucking douchebag.
Well, that's a little rude. This guy likes to give the middle finger a lot.
Knows what lane to go in. And if he's going in the wrong lane, I'm fucking honking him. The first lane goes into the first lane, second lane goes into the second lane.
Pulling a cop over to educate them about driving rules? That's how I know he's not American. Technically, I think that car had right of way. Hey, he's done good things too. Watch, he pushes this car out of traffic.
Do you want to push it off the road? I'll help you if you want to.
Wow, what a hero. Look, I'm not going to say that there's anything necessarily wrong with this type of content. I understand why people feel catharsis watching someone say all the things out loud that they feel when they get frustrated while driving. However, I also understand how people might think he's a massive hypocrite or a motorcycle vigilante, as HuffPo called him, when you take the leap from doing commentary into what a reasonable person might call attempted vehicular assault. Yeah, that's a really shitty thing to do. Also, I would suggest not trying to make a name for yourself doing stuff like this if you live somewhere where the average citizen's packing something a little more dangerous than a Tim Hortons donut. But let's not hold any of that against Elliot. This is a safe space, a judgment-free zone for all riders. And let's dive into his wreck video and see what we can learn. Usually I have to do a bunch of background research and light stalking to determine all the details of what happens prior to these accidents. But this time, the rider has done a lot of that for me. Just a note though, I believe that this is Elliot's truthful recollection of the event and his thoughts at the time. But there's often post hoc rationalizations and justification that happens in our minds, especially after a traumatic event. This is just to say that I trust what he's saying is what he believes, but I don't take it as absolute gospel. Alright, let's hear what his assessment of the context prior to the wreck is.
Alright, let's pay attention to the car in front of me. I'm pacing him. We're doing the exact same speed for a good block here. And you'll see once he passes this intersection in front of me, he starts to slow down.
Some small things that he doesn't really bring up that I think might have played some role in this wreck. Elliot isn't riding his own motorcycle. It's the bike of another motovlogger. When I've ridden a buddy's bikes or even gone for test rides, I don't ride the same as I normally would because there's always the concern of the consequences of wrecking this bike in the back of my head. Also, Elliot's Canadian and he's riding in the US, so overall he's likely to be less familiar with the location he's riding in and the way that US drivers operate their vehicles in comparison. It's possible, and I guess even probable, that the average Canadian driver is less aggressive than the average US driver, and especially a Californian driver. Hell, California is the only state with an illegal maneuver specifically named after it. This is to make the point that there is some additional cognitive load when you're driving a vehicle that you're unfamiliar with or in a place you're less comfortable that can definitely affect your riding, and it's something that Elliot and we should keep in mind.
So we'll let him get there first, still pacing him, nothing wrong here.
Oh my god, I've railed about lane positioning in almost every accident analysis video I've made, and I'm gonna do it again. Snowcat's riding style is to sit in the middle of the lane, And although this isn't an issue always on a nearly empty 3-lane street, it's not a great habit for a variety of reasons, as I've described ad nauseum. And it becomes a bit of an issue when he looks to execute his lane change. We'll come back to that later.
And after this light, he slows down quite a bit. So he's lost, something's happening.
If you notice a car start to slow down in the middle of an empty road, some things should come to your mind. First, you should probably slow down too, and try to figure out why the other driver would do something so seemingly unnecessary. A few common and very important reasons other drivers do stuff like this is that some new or previously unseen obstacle is in the roadway. Maybe an animal or a pedestrian that's bolted in front of the driver. Maybe a cop is sitting on the side of the road in a place where the other driver just noticed them. Often, people will rapidly slow down or adjust their driving after they see a police vehicle, even if they aren't doing anything wrong. Or something's happened in the car that's making the driver operate the vehicle unpredictably. Everyone's had that moment where they spill some food they're eating, maybe hot soup, coffee, a sugary liquid, or other stuff like cigarettes or valuables, and now they're panicking behind the wheel. Whatever the reason, you should now treat this vehicle as if it might do something completely unpredictable. This would mean you should probably slow down, take a few moments and see what happens, or pass in such a way that you'll be prepared for the other car to do something completely unexpected. We'll talk about this in a moment.
And so I'm like, well, might as well go around him.
Snowcat executes a lane change, but maintains his middle-of-the-road positioning. This puts him in a spot where he is briefly only visible to the other driver's left mirror, or in the blind spot of the other driver. And, more importantly, close enough to the car to reduce the amount of time he had to react to the vehicle entering his lane. You, like Elliot, might be thinking that only a completely incompetent person wouldn't see him coming. But there are some other factors here that I'm betting played into the other driver's unawareness in the seconds leading to the collision. Previously, Elliot was way behind the car. They might have noticed the motorcycle 200 feet behind them, or maybe they didn't. But it's possible they assumed that he was still much farther back. Second, look at the position of the sun. Where the driver's positioned in the car, it's likely that looking into the left mirror was challenging to do without getting a face full of sun obscuring the mirror and even their vision entirely. This driver should not have made this maneuver, or if they did, not so quickly, and they should have been more aware of their surroundings. But often there are small factors that are the difference between a near miss and a hit. Where the collision happens, there's a whole separate lane to Snowcat's left that could be utilized in the event of an emergency situation. Either rapid braking or significant acceleration by Elliot would have prevented the crash. He could have hit the brakes and narrowly avoided the rear end of the car. This is probably what most riders would do, and given decent reaction time, say he started either when the car began to actively brake, or as the car's left tire passed over the lane divider, he would have been fine. However, my suggestion would be that since he was already rolling on the throttle, he could have quickly opened it up and gone around the car in the left lane, then back into his lane much faster than he could have rolled up the throttle, covered, and then applied at both brakes. In Washington State drivers training, they taught me that there's unlimited speed when passing for the exact reason that it minimizes the time that you're in this awkward position, like the blind spot of another driver. Now, this isn't true in all states or countries, but I emphasize that in an emergency situation, you should never let a driving law prevent you from taking actions to protect yourself. Speeding up rapidly would have also brought him out of the blind spot and either into the peripheral or full vision of the car driver, likely giving the driver awareness that they were cutting him off so they could make emergency maneuvers.
What the And there it is, guys. There's the crash. Simple as that. Me and one vehicle.
The rest of this video is Elliot lying on the ground and either somberly contemplating all of his life decisions or arguing with the people in the car that hit it. I'm not really interested in the personal drama aspect, so if you want that, head over to the full video linked here. I will say though, that when I'm looking to have a conversation with someone about something they did, it's not when I'm back down, in pain, and capable of defending myself. To each his own though. I think this guy might have a bit of a reputation to maintain, and this seems pretty on brand based on the videos I've seen him make. But I will point out that anger and confusion are also side effects of a concussion. Let's summarize the lessons to be learned for Snowcat and for us.
1. Be cognizant when in unfamiliar situations. New locations, new vehicle, new equipment, they all reduce our ability behind the steering column. So maybe take it down a notch when one or more of these conditions are true. If another vehicle goes from predictable driving patterns to driving in a way that doesn't make sense to your perception of the conditions, take a moment to reassess the situation and ensure that you aren't missing a key piece of information. 3. When overtaking an unpredictable vehicle, take steps to minimize the window at which you're vulnerable to the other driver. Utilize speed to overtake faster, give a wider berth, and be hyper-vigilant.
Elliot, if you watch this video and you think I'm an asshole, as a gesture of good faith, if you come down to the Seattle area, I'll buy you a beer and let you test ride my R1M. No, I won't. Did you see what you did to that other dude's Triumph? Speaking of which, yeah, guess this is as good a point as any to say that I went ahead and spent some of that fat settlement money and got myself a new bike. Nothing too flashy, just a brand new Yamaha R1M. I had this whole reveal and video review planned out the way that all these other motovlogger dudes milk getting new bikes, because those videos get absolutely insane views. But I really wanted to do something significant, discussing the absolutely crazy features this bike has, but I really need time to play with it, and for that, I need to get the bike out of its break-in period. So, maybe spring? If you enjoyed this production, why don't you push one of these buttons down here that give me a warm and tingly feeling whenever the numbers increase? Or if you really want to help me out, come support me on Patreon and check out the outtakes that I post there. Until next time, ride fast, take chances.